Let's open up the OG mailbag alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to The Butcher's Market. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com for being the presenting sponsor for the OG mailbag. And most importantly, thank you for being part of OGTriangleMedia.com, part of OG fans. The full episode, that goes to you. For the free portion, yeah. We'll talk about the Bill Belichick thing. Dude, the amount of responses we got to the Inside Carolina report that former Patriots football coach Bill Belichick interviewed for the North Carolina job was insane. For instance, I got this one from Daniel to our email. Now that's how you make a splash. Not a fan of either, but what a way to make Duke and State fans despise you even more. Chef's kiss and a golf clap after missing a 2-foot gimme. Keep up the great work, guys. Or this one from Tim, which I got shortly before we started recording today's mailbag. You got to imagine Bubba Cunningham, to borrow a phrase from Lauren Brownlow, would like to blast himself into the sun right now. How insufferable it must be to have these boosters in your ears saying, let's hire Bill Belichick. On the flip side, the content machine would be unreal. Can you imagine after beating Elon, a reporter asked Bill who's going to be the quarterback the next game, and Bill's reply is, we're on to JMU. Credit my cousin-in-law for that one. Dave Dorn would have to tell his grandkids he beat Bill Belichick and plant a flag in his backyard. So there's like two ways. Like, there's probably 3 levels to this. There's my immediate reaction, Joe. I don't know about yours, but my immediate reaction was, well, the folks in Chapel Hill, we're talking about a youth movement coming off of Mac Brown. And what screams youth movement like a coach who's 8 months younger than the one you just told to kick rocks? He's not even a full year younger than Mac Brown. He's 8 months younger than Mac Brown. And then I started going into the other jokes. And I get it. I'm not the first one to make the joke, but I know you all thought it. Like, oh man, what does Bill Belichick know about connecting with today's youth? Well, dude, can you imagine Bill Belichick's his introductory press conference? He's not going to be the coach, but let's say he was the coach. His introductory press conference, he would go to the classic Southern football coaching press conference line. You don't think I can recruit? Have you seen my wife? Bill Belichick actually for once would make that thing work. He goes, you don't think I can connect with today's kids? You don't think I can speak their language? You don't think I am on their level? Have you seen my early 20-something's girlfriend? Dude.
24.
She's 24. Dude. Dude. So you got the jokes. We can make jokes all day about this, but there's a serious aspect to it, and that's where the other 2 factors come in. Bill Belichick's not going to be the head coach at North Carolina. Now, I'm not going to go full Mark Ennis and say I'll eat a live ram at the 50-yard line if Bill Belichick is the head coach. He's not. But this is picked up by the NFL people. Adam Schefter, all the insiders. And all of this is an indication, a little bit of leverage to let NFL decision makers know, guys, I ain't done. I'm not retired. I still want to coach. And there's a lot of openings right now, and there will be a lot of openings in the future when the season wraps up, that I'll be more than happy to step in and get this thing going, right? Maybe the Giants, right? Who knows? Who knows who it could be? So there's the leverage play of, hey, man, I want to coach, and maybe I will go to college. He won't. He wants an NFL gig. But then there's something that's more important to us locally.
I was going to say, let us not get distracted by the Belichick.
Thank you.
Shiny object, by the lowest of low hanging fruit.
Yes.
Congratulations to whoever gave this information to Inside Carolina and other spots. Mm-hmm. And this is not me denigrating their reporting.
No, absolutely not. It's great reporting.
But this is the definition of low-hanging fruit and a shiny object being a distraction.
Yeah.
My first initial thought, right? Sometimes you have to use your brain. My first initial thought, there is not a planet where Bubba Cunningham would hire a 72-year-old coach after firing a 73-year-old coach who ostensibly was too old to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the same guy who hired a 23-year-old Aaron Matson to be a field hockey coach.
Yeah.
This is the same guy I told you when Anson Dorrance retired would probably prefer to find somebody in their 20s to coach the women's soccer program over my friend Damon Bejas. Mm-hmm. That would probably be his preference, right? This is now the football search. This is the defining hire of his career at Carolina for Bubba Cunningham. Okay. Without knowing what his thoughts are on Glenn Schumann, I will just say he wants to hire a coach like Glenn Schumann, who is 34 years old, who has been literally trained by Nick Saban and Kirby Smart to be the next Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, if there ever is going to be another one of those coaches.
Sure. Okay? There's a list of those guys. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Well, Dan Lanning's one of them. He was co-defensive coordinators with Dan Lanning at Georgia.
Totally get what you're saying, man. Totally get what you're saying.
If you're Bubba, who is very intelligent, this is the person you're looking at and going, okay, here's what we can do to turn the page and move on for Carolina football. You're not looking at a 72-year-old coach, even a coach who is the greatest to ever do it in Bill Belichick, because he is. He's the best to ever do it. All right. So that's my first thought. My second thought then becomes, well, maybe Bubba's not hiring this coach. Maybe someone's trying a power play here to squeeze him out. As we saw with John Pryor, not happy with the way that it played out with Mac Brown. As we saw with an older generation of Carolina fans. I can't believe he called him and fired him. He didn't come home and fire him.
Right.
He didn't do it in person.
Right.
There's been a lot of that from an older portion, i.e. my age and up, which, by the way, is where all the money is in the Carolina fan base. Right. So this is a power play. They tried to make Bubba look bad earlier in the year with we're going to look into your books. Bubba's a CPA. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to look into the books. There's a lot of ways that you can make somebody look bad, but that's like being like, oh, we're going to look into, Giglio's Garner High, bona fides. Like, do his kids really play tennis and golf at Garner High? Right. We're going to look into it. Like, of all the things you're going to look into,
is Joe Ovius really a Carolina Hurricanes junior Canes hockey manager? Is he really?
We're gonna get someone to look into that. Yeah. Like Joe Ovius, junior hockey Canes manager. Let's make sure he's been booking all the trips on the up and up.
I did just send out an email about a Winston-Salem hotel, so I'm doing my job.
And anyway. So where do you think that story came from?
Right.
Huh.
Right.
Couldn't have been this guy who we shouldn't even know who he is.
Right. I should not know John Pryor's name, man.
Now on the power play. Yep. So this is a power play. This is a squeeze. This is them trying to, this is from the Carolina side. This is their power play trying to make Bubba look bad. Because there is no planet that he would hire a 72-year-old. Now, you start working this thing down. If it does go sideways, then nobody wants it to go sideways. But if it does go sideways, it becomes, well, what are you doing? We could have had Bill Belichick. We could have had the greatest coach of all time. We put him on a platter for you, and you didn't take it because you had to go and hire somebody else. Which also, by the way, not to derail this particular conversation, but it does dovetail into everything that's going on in Carolina. Did Bubba really want to hire Hubert Davis? I don't know. I don't legitimately know the answer to that.
No, I'm going to go ahead and say no.
But there's a big portion of that fan base that didn't want to hire Hubert either. But it sounds like the overwhelming majority of the former players and the coaches and the people who were in the Carolina basketball family wanted Hubert Davis to be the basketball coach.
Let me tell you why I say that Bubba, for as much as if you haven't figured it out yet, if you haven't figured it out between me and Joe, we both like Bubba. We both think Bubba does an excellent job. However, Bubba has been pushed out of major decisions. And the reason why I say that he didn't want to hire Hubert in the first place, okay? Did he make calls to the obvious guys? Of course he did, because he's Bubba. He's connected. He's doing the due diligence. But there was a tell. You know me. I always look for the tell. And there was a tell with the Hubert Davis hire. And that's when, and I followed up with him in an interview with Bubba after they hired Hubert Davis. He said that he was overwhelmed, that he learned something new about the Carolina family. And I thought to myself, Bubba, you've been here 10 freaking years at this point. You've been here 10 years, and you're just now discovering the depths of the Carolina family and how they run things in basketball? Bullshit. You had your idea. You were told, nah, man, this is the guy we're going to hire because that's what Roy wanted, straight up. And that's fine, by the way. That's fine. But don't sit here and tell me that that's not how it played out, regardless. But you know what? Maybe we're giving Bubba, maybe we are dismissing Bubba Cunningham. Perhaps we actually need to start calling Bubba Cunningham the true ninja athletics director. Somebody needs to take the ninja mantle from John Swafford after retirement.
There's only one.
John Swafford's the ninja commish. Only one of one. But maybe Bubba's trying to be the ninja AD. Because remember, he's got his hands in some different stuff. Remember, he was in that college student football league idea and things like that. Maybe Bubba's looking at the
head of the selection committee this year in basketball.
Maybe Bubba's looking at the house settlement and the budget shortfalls. And he's thinking, where can we make money? I mean, I'm trying to do this thing with the Smith Center. You know, we're selling beer now. How else can we make money? I know. Jordan brand cut off hoodies. Would that not make up for the house settlement shortfall? Right? Just selling like hotcakes.
Wouldn't this be the ultimate test of is it money that matters or is it coaching that matters?
It's gonna.
Right?
Well, by the way,
I'm just saying, on a planet where they don't just fire Mac Brown and they are not in the market for an older coach.
Yeah.
In a different universe where they do hire Bill Belichick, because people are like, oh, why would he want to deal with NIL? Why would he want to deal with the transfer portal? And it's just kind of like, it's something that you and I have talked about forever. Oh, you want to be about that life? You want me to call you the GOAT? You want me to say you're the greatest of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Win at NC State. Win at Carolina. Go to Pitt.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Go show me.
I'm glad you brought that up because Carolina's going to put themselves in a position where we're never going to find that out. Because there is another way to look at this. Bubba might be trying to do his job, but what have we seen with the way basketball has kind of going right now and how people are mad? And people are mad at Hubert and the staff that he has. Okay. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And then now you're looking at this coaching search. The biggest question mark that I had about Carolina's coaching search is, how serious are you about football? And if you want to go and get Summerall, you want to go get that Georgia DC, why would you go to a program that doesn't look like they're serious about football? What's your NIL looking like? Right? I mean, we talked about this with Andrew Jones early in the week. And he says, no, financially, they're on the same page. I don't know. Based on how this stuff is coming out, doesn't look like they're on the same page. And I got to hand it to Carolina, man. They are in full on content generation mode. Hey, maybe Ninja AD here. Man, Carolina basketball is 4-4 and people are mad. I know what we can do to take the heat off Hubert Davis. Hey, inside Carolina, we interviewed Bill Belichick. And and people are taking this seriously. I got a text from a guy that would know these things.
Mm-hmm.
Literally texted me before we started today. And he's like, this may be real. I'm like, I have no doubts that it's real if the people outside the Bubbaverse are trying to call the shots. And as we illustrated, there clearly are people. And if you are a Schumann, if you are a Summerall, why would you want to go to that? Why would you want to go to that? Sit. Wait, you're getting paid handsomely to be a DC at Georgia anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not going to go anywhere. But that's kind of where we are right now. And I give Carolina a lot of credit for helping us with all of this content. We couldn't do this without you. We could not do this without you.
I just got to add before you hit the button.
Mm-hmm.
If obviously Bubba is knee deep in trying to hire a football coach, obviously Bubba, no matter what happens with Uber, is involved in the selection committee. My guy, David Nahas, is now in the Final Four with the women's soccer team. I feel like...
You see tickets for that, by the way?
No.
The ticket prices on the resale market are off the charts.
I got to feel like my guy's safe now. That he's going to do... And Bubba's going to be left with no choice but to do the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
But replace the greatest coach in the history of college sports with the wolf blood.
Let the wolf watch. All right, let's get to the mailbag.
Here's the mail, it never fails. Makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, what a whale.
Honestly feel like most of this is Tar Heel therapy. We actually got a text to the sports phone that came from a 252.
You've got mail.
Carolina will be looking for a new football coach and basketball coach in a school calendar year. # crystal ball emoji. It's getting real serious. It's getting late early for Hubert Davis this year, which I tried to tell you.
You did.
All right, let's go.
Right.
Let's go to the sports phone for what we'll call Tar Heel therapy.
Not so good morning, boys. I see the shit from Keenan made its way downhill to the Smith Center last night. They threw up so many bricks they could have built a new arena. Couldn't even hit a free throw. And the cherry on the shit cake is watching Dontre Styles score 17 for NC State. Not a good night. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day today, and I'll be watching later when you're live.
Poor Genie.
Genie. Yeah.
Poor Genie. Poor Genie.
Yeah. I got to give her credit, though. She sent me a message. She's like, now, if they do hire Bill Belichick, wouldn't that be the ultimate proof of your theory that if something good could happen to Carolina, it will?
Is that good, though?
Again, in a bubble.
Okay.
Remember now, Bill Walsh went back and coached Stanford.
Yeah.
After a long hiatus after the 49ers. A different world.
That's a different
I get that.
world, man.
I totally get that.
Different world.
But it was to the point of like, hey, I just want to scratch an itch and coach again.
Yeah.
Without the nonsense. Now, in that day, the nonsense was the NFL. Now you're actually, by coming down to college, it would be more nonsense, and maybe Belichick's not a fact. Okay. We had this one about Belichick right all along, though. He's going to go coach lacrosse somewhere.
To prove a point.
So, yeah, I just want to coach. I'm a coach. I'm a leader of men, blah, 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 blah.
This TV crap. Do you really think he wants to spend his freaking Mondays with Jim Gray on the Let's Go podcast? Do you really think he wants to do that? Hell no.
Hey, guys, it's Paul. Oh, dear. I do believe that Hubert Davis's system of play only works if he has an elite rebounder who is also very good defensively and a stretch four. And Carolina has neither one of those players right now. Jalen Washington, we were hoping he was going to make a step from sophomore to junior year, and that has not happened. In fact, he seems to have regressed. And Cade Dyson was supposed to be the stretch four, and he can barely see the court. I'm getting Justin Pierce flashbacks over here. Jesus, but at least Justin Pierce played. Cade Dyson can't even get on the damn floor. Boys, I'm not overreacting. I still think they're going to be fine, but they are not a great team. Obviously, they don't play defense. They can't defend, and even if they do get a defensive stop, they can't rebound. I mean, I'm getting a taste of what we've done to teams throughout the entirety of my life, and I hate it. I see why teams hated playing us, because I hate watching teams miss shots and then get extra opportunities right at the rim. That's our thing, damn it. That's our thing. And run an offensive set. Jesus Christ, stop running pick and rolls with dudes who can't roll. Just run an offensive set. They didn't run one elevator screen. They didn't have one fucking back cut. It's just Elliot Cadeau, R.J. Davis, and Seth Trimble driving to the rim and hoping they get fouled. Ah!
Talk about a speed run. Paul, you've completed the NC State fandom run right there.
All right, next.
Hey guys, this is Ernie. I'm so tired of basketball bleeding into football. I mean, we're so soft. Mac looks so uncomfortable in his giant jacket, and we just can't make a kick, and I'm just fed up with Hubert and all of it. Bye.
A lot of people, I kept that call in because that was from Saturday. I kept that call in for the mailbag specifically because something about Mac in that giant puffer jacket triggers people. I don't know what it is. Is it because because he looks like the AI generated Pope image? Remember the AI Pope image where he had the big white papal, like puffy jacket? You know what I'm talking about, right? Is that what it is? Like, it doesn't look real. Does it look like maybe, I don't know, he should be rocking some Timbs and he's in a Wu-Tang video from 1994? Like, what is it about Mac in that puffer jacket that gets people going?
I don't know if it's the jacket or the look of bewilderment and lost
in the puffer jacket.
Yeah,
maybe that's
kind of. They kind of go hand in hand.
Maybe that's the case. All right, next in the this is another sports phone call.
Hey guys, this is Ernie.
I already played that one. Let's try this one.
One thing I'm thinking about here, 10:36 p.m. Maybe the whiskey's got me going here, but what do we think about Mac Brown retirement job at App State? Mac spends time up at Linville Ridge. He could have that job until he's 82 and be a good guy coming home, going full circle back where he started, yada, yada, yada. Still be coaching, still be having a good time, and bring in, PR to an area that could use it, and coaching up the young fellas. What do we think?
You went on the Satterfield thing, and
Yeah.
some folks actually did respond to your idea of Satterfield being one step ahead of the Axeman, coming back home and kind of finishing what he started at App State.
51.
Right. I always forget Satterfield's like essentially our age. And again, that caller's not the first one to bring up Mac Brown going back to App State. But again, I still am convinced that Mac Brown's future is on that ACC network set. Dimitri and I talked about it earlier this week on OG Business, but that's where he's going. He's not going back to App State.
No, they need him. And if Carolina had done it right, and there's a lot to be said about how they got it wrong.
Sure.
They would have done what I said last year. They would have made Mac the head of the NIL collective. You would have bring in Arthur Smith, and you're on your way.
Yeah.
Could have done it last year, but
didn't happen that way. All right, another sports phone call transitioning away from Tar Heel therapy, I think, to greater ACC therapy.
Oh, no.
All right, this is another sports phone call.
I'm trying to decide whether it's better to superimpose Jim Phillips' face on Hans Gruber falling off the Nakatomi Plaza in slow motion, or Qui-Gon getting it from Darth Maul in Phantom Menace.
Those are two excellent references. I like the Hans Gruber.
At last, we shall reveal ourselves to the Jedi.
Here's the mail, it never fails. Makes me wanna whack my tail. When it comes, what a whale.
From Steven in Charlotte. Remember when we were looking forward to Triangle basketball to save us? The ACC is the worst power conference right now, and State and Carolina are both bubble teams at best. Yay!
You've got mail.
From a 336 to the sports phone, what the hell are college basketball fans going to do when the SEC starts taking over that sport too? Gonna be heads exploding all up and down Tobacco Road like the end of Scanners at this rate. Are we ready for this reality, Joe? Is the 14-2 result from the ACC SEC challenge a blip? Or is this just an indication of where things? Because that's been the conversation. That's been a lot of the response to what happened this week. In that, holy shit, the ACC can't even be good at basketball anymore. They're getting their lunch taken by the SEC too.
College basketball is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
We pretend to care about the regular season. We pretend. I got news for you. The regular season does not matter.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. Do you know how I know? Because the SEC has been the best conference in the regular season for the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, easily.
Easily. Remember the one year we were on radio, I picked 4 SEC teams to make it to the Final Four.
That, yeah.
Spoiler, none of them made the Final Four. Not a single one.
Yeah.
Do you know why? And it's the same thing applies. You saw it. You saw it at Auburn. You even saw it with Alabama. Alabama made more shots.
Mm-hmm.
They are crazy athletic. They usually have size. They're crazy deep. They can't make shots.
Nope.
When the money's on the table, they can't make shots. See Kentucky last year against Oakland. Remember who beat Oakland last year? Remember who didn't?
Mm-hmm.
Remember who had 3 pros? Remember who didn't?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, State beat Oakland. Just in case you need me to spell it out for you.
Bracket luck is real, Joe.
Bracket luck's a real thing, but it's the construction of these SEC teams. Super talented, super athletic, super deep. And they have the best coaches now, too. But ultimately, you have to make shots.
This is from Andrew. Being an inferior conference in football is not news to me, and I think there is some truth to it, even if it's blown out of proportion. But seeing this demolition job of our conference by the SEC feels like a death knell. The SEC is becoming the king in both sports, and no signs of slowing down. So I asked the question, are we just cooked as a whole? Is there any way to get a resurgence of the ACC back to where it was, a respected basketball conference, or is this just another reason for people to abandon ship if they can? Thanks for the show, as always.
Let's tie this in.
Okay.
Again, let's put Carolina in a bubble.
Yeah.
Okay. Take out the family, take out all the other stuff. In my opinion, Carolina basketball is the best job in the country. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In 1985, let's just say Carolina wanted to hire the best young coach in college basketball. Could they have hired the best young coach in college basketball? In 1995, if Carolina wanted to hire the best young coach in basketball, could they have hired
Yes.
the best young coach in basketball?
The answer to all these is yes.
2005, if they wanted to hire the best young coach in college basketball, if they wanted to get Brad Stevens before he was Brad Stevens, could they have gotten him?
I don't know about that.
No,
But
I
I think he was always wired a little bit differently.
he wasn't there yet, though. If you're Carolina and you call the best 35-year-old coach in the country, they're going, man, I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to find out the real answer here. Because Nate Oates is the best coach in college basketball now.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be able to make one phone call and get Nate Oates to leave Alabama and come to the University of North Carolina? You're shaking your head no. And I agree with you. I don't think, because Kentucky thought the same thing last year. They thought Kentucky, which obviously thinks they're the better job than Carolina. Spoiler, they're not.
Mm-mm.
So they couldn't get him, right? So now you're at a real fork in the road here if you're Carolina. And that's what I think is gotten their fans to this existential Lenovo Center, Ohio State Stadium Center existential dread. Because they're not just sitting here going, we need to get rid of Hubert. They're sitting here going, oh shit, we're like everybody else now.
This is why I said in the aftermath of the Coach K retirement, you might have won the battle. Okay, you might have won that chapter, but it's not over. And Duke has shown more proclivity to advance to where college basketball is today than Carolina. And that gets back to tying it back to the beginning of this mailbag episode and how they can't even function properly in a modern college football search. What's that going to tell you when they get to basketball? There's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many dudes with money who have never been told no because they got money. And they're not about to have a guy named Bubba tell them no. All right, one more ACC-related thing here.
Joe's, we got a lot to get into today, but I'm just calling to thank my...
I'm sorry. I see you. That was funny. Okay.
Joe's, we got a lot to get into today, but I'm just calling to thank my fellow degenerate because I have a plus 2,000 SMU to win the ACC championship ticket, which will more than make up for all of the other losses I have had this season in football. My only question is, should I hedge a little bit or let it ride?
I've gotten this question a lot. And I'll tell you my one hedge story.
Yeah.
Okay? And since you love a gambling story.
Oh, yeah.
The year the Giants won the Super Bowl the first time, I literally bet they were a wild card team, if you remember. Okay. I literally bet on the Giants money line every round. Giants money line, Giants money line, Giants money line. Okay. Well, I won about, let's say, it was about 2,500 just to get to the Super Bowl. Okay. Now here comes the Super Bowl. They're playing the Patriots, the unbeaten Patriots. And I had a Eli Manning to be MVP of the Super Bowl ticket. That was 20-1. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? Am I going to hedge this thing? Because if the Giants lose, now I don't lose money because I already made money coming up to it.
Yeah.
So I got in my head and I was like, oh, fine. I'll take the pay. I think the line was whatever it was. I took it at halftime. Believe it or not, back then there was a live line. I took it at halftime. It was Patriots -3 at the half. And I put half of my bet from the Eli Manning bet on the Patriots at halftime. I've never hedged anything ever since then, in part because when you win, you feel like you lost. Even though the math says the hedge is the right thing to do, I can't do it because of that one time. I'll never be able to, and I'll never tell anybody to hedge either. You won't be able to live with yourself.
Okay.
You won't.
Gotcha.
You've got mail.
We got a lot of questions about Spotify Wrapped. For those who are unfamiliar, Spotify, once we get into December, tells their users, hey, here's what you listen to. Here are your top artists, things like that.
Here's what you're into.
And I've asked our listeners, hey, if we end up in your podcast top 5, post it out there on social media, tag us. I'll screen grab it. I'll save it. And then I'll randomly pick a few. We got a little breakingt.com/OG merch for you. Shout out to the hoodie here with the Dead Conference, right? So, and people have been doing that. If you're following us on Instagram at OG Triangle Media, you've seen me reposting people's Spotify Wraps. So we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Number 1 on a lot of spots, right? So I got a couple responses saying, hey, do you mind sharing some information from your Spotify Wrap. Like, what did you find interesting? I'm like, okay, cool. So I went into it and I looked at it. And it's important to note that it only tells you a partial picture of consumption habits for the podcast because it's just one service. I mean, I can look at the nitty gritty of Apple, but it doesn't package it in the way that Spotify does, which is very, very cool, right? And obviously with YouTube, it's a completely separate metric because of the video views. Although there is a trend in 2024 that I've seen with the podcast specifically as it relates to YouTube, and that is there's a lot more consumption happening on YouTube. And not because you guys are watching the video, a lot of y'all just have YouTube up. No. You just have YouTube up and you have it on in the background.
Oh.
Like a TV. It's like passive television watching.
Perfect.
Which, cool. I'm totally down with that.
We get paid by the minute played, so please.
By all means. So again, this only tells a partial picture. But what I did find interesting was that we had a nearly 60% increase in listeners on Spotify from the previous year.
Okay.
Now, it's not a full 2023 because we didn't get fired until May. But when you compare what we were doing from May and through to December versus May through November, January through November, we have a 60% increase in listeners. I'll take that. What do you think our most listened to show was in 2024 on Spotify?
Maybe I'll go Canes playoffs. One of the Canes playoffs with the Rangers.
That would be a YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a YouTube thing
because you're
specifically. Yeah, right. Remember when Rangers fans found the freaking chat, man?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I mean, hey, Rangers, thanks for the views, man. I'm not going to knock it. But what do you think was the podcast only?
Podcast
on
only.
Spotify. Oh, this is obvious, dude.
It's something with State.
Yeah.
To the Final Four.
OG 167. This was the sober version of the Elite Eight response. Because remember, the After Dark did not go on the podcast.
Right.
NC State is Cinderella again, OG 67. That was the post Elite Eight hangover show.
Okay.
The audience, the top percentage of the audience, 36% of the audience is age 35 to 44. That does not surprise me. 22% of the audience is 30 to 34. Does not surprise me. 16% is 45 to 54. Again, does not surprise me. 13% is 25 to 29. 10% is 55 plus, which was interesting in that 55 plus age demo was actually the one that grew the most in 2024. That tells me that all the people that I've seen in Target, all the people that I've seen in Costco, when I went to the Raleigh Sports Club to go talk to the crew,
I'm going to chalk it all up to the Raleigh Sports Club.
That tells me that all the older gen that are radio listeners, and they hit me with man, I really enjoyed the radio show. I'm like, well, that's what the podcast is for. And they go, well, I don't know about podcasts. They're becoming much more mainstream, ubiquitous, and it makes sense that the 55 plus would grow there. What do you think our number one shared audience is with? I got a top 5 shared audience podcasts. Basically, if you listen to us, you listen to this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I already know the answer to this one, so I won't give it away.
Pardon My Take is number 1.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Pardon My Take is number 1. That does not surprise me. What does surprise me, given the makeup of you and me, Joe Rogan is number 2.
I've seen a lot of Joe Rogan on those Spotify Wrapped.
We really are a case of two Americas. Bill Simmons is number 3. Bomani is number 4. And Ryan Russillo is number 5. Nice. Dimitri was shocked by the Ryan Russillo. I'm like, that doesn't surprise me. He talks a lot of NFL, man.
Okay.
And he is also talking a lot about gambling, too.
Okay.
So that does not surprise me. The music categories that people listen to our podcast are pop, rap, and country. That does not surprise me. And apparently we were the top show of podcast listeners on Spotify. We were the top 5 show for roughly 1,700 listeners. And we were the number 1 show for 685 of you.
Let's go.
So for the 685 of you that were the number 1 show, we salute you. Just like we salute you, the OG fan, the OG trianglemedia.com subscriber, which is mostly comprised of NC State fans. I know that demographic. A lot of NC State fans subscribe to OG Triangle Media. So for the rest of this podcast, it is for OG Triangle Media members only. If you want to be part of OG fans, go to ogtrianglemedia.com right now. You can sign up for as little as $13 a month. You can save when you buy for the year.
Save's good.
Quick update on OG Fans Founders Club. We're finally getting there. We finally figured it out.
We're almost there.
You see this hat? Bay 6, downtown Raleigh? See this hat? Could be an option. We've decided on what we're going to do. We're going to launch it in the new year. We got a storefront for you. We're going to have 4 different types of lids for you.
Give them choices.
Choices are important.
Yep.
Good quality, premium choices. 4 different lids. And instead of a tote,
We're going to save the tote for another idea that we can sell. Trust me, we're going to sell this one. We've got a 16-ounce camp coffee mug. What? What are you laughing at?
The tote.
We're going with the can cooler. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. But anyway, we're going to launch that in the new year. So for OG Founders Clubs members, some people have been asking, hey, whatever happened with that? We were trying to get it right. We don't want to look, man, we can slap a logo on the cheapest crap possible. We don't want to do that, especially if you guys are going to be spending money on it. So we appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a storefront option to choose from 4 different styles of hats, exclusive OG fan print, and the beanie is one of them. So I'm hype about that. From this moment on, I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. It really is just gonna be pack therapy.